The shock begins now. Imagine a team that has already tasted the summit but refuses to stop climbing. The Boston Celtics are not simply preparing for another season. They are recalibrating the very DNA of their roster, redefining what it means to chase greatness under financial pressure, expectations, and time. What if the most controversial decisions of this offseason were not mistakes, but strategic sacrifices for something even greater on the horizon? Before we dive deep into the moves, the missed opportunities, and the mysteries of training camp, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and click that hype button to stay ahead of every twist in Boston's journey back to glory. The first week of training camp has ended, and the Celtics' new look is starting to take shape. New faces, fresh energy, silent questions. Some fans are still haunted by the name Al Horford, now wearing a different shade of jersey, after signing a deal worth $5.7 million with an option for next season. A sum so small, it almost feels insulting that Boston couldn't or wouldn't match it. But the truth hides deeper than simple numbers. Boston sits $12 million above the luxury tax line, and every extra dollar spent now costs $5.50 in repeater penalties. So, while paying Horford seemed easy on paper, it could have meant nearly $20 million in reality. But here's where things get fascinating. Was it really about the money? Or was this part of a long game? Without Jayson Tatum expected to play much, if at all, this season, would investing heavily in a veteran have made sense? The Celtics front office, led by Brad Stevens, reportedly offered both Horford and Kornet contracts to return, but logic says they were near the veteran minimum. And when the team traded away Georges Niang in August to erase his $8 million salary, it wasn't just bookkeeping. It was preparation. It was chess, not checkers. Still, the question lingers. Could Boston have done more? Could they have sacrificed a young player like Sam Hauser or Anthony Simons to free up flexibility? Maybe. But even then, would Horford have stayed? Reports say he wanted another shot at a ring this very season, and with Tatum sidelined, perhaps that was never going to happen in Boston this year. Yet, something in this story doesn't quite settle. What if the Celtics' restraint wasn't a sign of weakness, but the foundation for a new core ready to emerge when the time is right? Inside the camp, one theme echoes: speed. The Celtics are playing faster, sharper, and more aggressive than before. The Summer League gave us a glimpse of the blueprint: relentless defense designed to force turnovers and create instant offense. This isn't just about filling the void left by veterans. It's about rewriting Boston's rhythm. For years, the Celtics dominated with structure and control, but this version? It might be chaos with purpose. And there's more tension brewing in the rotation battles. Fans wonder if coach Joe Mazzulla will shake up his starting lineup game to game. The answer seems to be no. He values consistency. Yet, that doesn't mean comfort. Peyton Pritchard and Anthony Simons bring distinct energy, while bench players like Boucher, Garza, and rookie standouts are pushing for real minutes. Against teams like the Knicks, who plan to unleash Twin Towers with Karl-Anthony Towns and Mitchell Robinson, Boston's undersized frontcourt will face its first major test. Could we see Jaylen Brown taking on defensive assignments that push him to his physical limit? But here's what nobody expected. The Celtics are embracing discomfort. Every challenge, every missing piece, every financial constraint, they are turning into motivation. The locker room energy has shifted. Players are hungrier, more vocal, and fully aware that this season is not about coasting, it's about proving. And that brings us to the biggest what-if of all. If Tatum were healthy, would this entire offseason have looked different? Would Horford still be here? Would Boston have spent beyond reason to run it back one more time? We'll never know. What we do know is that something's brewing under the surface. A mix of risk, patience, and silent confidence that could erupt when least expected. The Celtics are walking a thin line between genius and gamble, but history tells us that's exactly where legends are born. And maybe, just maybe, the front office isn't playing for October, but for June. So stay ready, because when Boston's plan finally clicks, everyone will realize the truth. These weren't debatable choices, they were deliberate moves in a game that only the patient understand. The question is, will the league be ready when that moment comes? And that's where the story takes a shocking turn. Just when it seemed like the Celtics had settled into their plan of patience and development, a new name began to echo through league circles, stirring whispers of a move that could rewrite Boston's entire frontcourt identity. The possibility of a trade worth $13.3 million involving Utah's 7-foot phenomenon Walker Kessler has suddenly put the Celtics back in the spotlight. But is this just speculation or the beginning of something monumental? Kessler isn't just another big man. At only 24 years old, he already embodies everything Boston has been missing since the departures of Kristaps Porzingis, Luke Kornet, and Al Horford. Elite rim protection, rebounding dominance, and a natural instinct to control the paint. In 3 short seasons, he has become one of the most efficient centers in the NBA, averaging over 11 points, 12 rebounds, and nearly 2.5 blocks per game while shooting 66% from the field. Numbers that don't scream for attention, yet speak louder than any headline. But here's the real twist. Reports suggest Kessler and the Utah Jazz have not reached an agreement on an extension, meaning he could become available before the trade deadline. That single fact has transformed quiet curiosity into full-blown speculation. Could Boston really pull off? Could they transform a financial dilemma into an opportunity to bring in one of the most promising young bigs in the league? The cost would be steep. At least 1 first-round pick and matching salary, according to league insiders. Yet, the Celtics are no strangers to bold moves. The front office has already shown a willingness to reshape the roster in unconventional ways, and this might be the next calculated risk. Because while most teams chase short-term patches, Boston seems to be building something that lasts. The type of structure that survives injuries, cap pressure, and even the departure of beloved veterans. What nobody expected was how perfectly Kessler fits the Celtics' evolving identity. His defensive timing mirrors the discipline that once defined Al Horford, while his energy and youth could ignite a new era of intensity under Joe Mazzulla's system. He doesn't need the ball to change the game, and that's precisely why he would thrive alongside Jaylen Brown and, when healthy, Jayson Tatum. But the real question is, why now? Why would the Celtics chase a move like this in a year when expectations seem tempered? Maybe because they understand something others don't. Maybe because they see that waiting for the perfect moment is a trap, and true contenders act before the rest of the league realizes what's happening. And then comes the unexpected realization. This isn't just about filling Horford's shoes. It's about signaling that Boston refuses to let its championship window close quietly. Every financial decision, every minor signing, every rumor that seemed insignificant may have been setting the stage for something like this. If the Celtics truly go after Walker Kessler, it won't just be a trade. It will be a statement, a declaration that the future isn't slipping away. It's being rebuilt piece by piece under the green and white lights of the Garden. The rest of the league might not see it yet, but those who watch closely can feel it. The Celtics aren't done. They're just preparing to surprise everyone once again. The Celtics aren't done. They're just preparing to surprise everyone once again. And as if the league hadn't already felt the tension rise, something even bigger has started to shake the Eastern Conference. A new rumor, almost too wild to believe, has reignited Boston's long-term vision of dominance. Giannis Antetokounmpo, the 2-time MVP and one of the most dominant forces of this generation, is quietly questioning his future in Milwaukee. But what's truly shocking isn't his uncertainty. It's where he might want to go next. Reports suggest that this summer, Giannis was open to joining a direct rival of Boston, the New York Knicks. And that revelation has set the basketball world on fire. Behind closed doors, in a private July meeting with Bucks general manager Jon Horst, Giannis reportedly voiced concerns about the team's direction and its ability to contend for championships in the near future. After 12 years of loyalty and sacrifice, the Greek freak began exploring what insiders called an alternative path forward. There was no official trade request, but the message was clear. The window in Milwaukee is closing, and the rest of the league can smell blood in the water. The Bucks tried to calm the storm. They re-signed his brother Thanasis Antetokounmpo on a 1-year veteran minimum deal. They even added Miles Turner to provide interior support. But deep down, the franchise knows the truth. If the next season doesn't deliver results, Giannis could walk away. His current contract runs through the 2026-2027 season, with a player option after that. And starting next October, Milwaukee can offer him a 4-year extension worth $275 million. The question haunting every executive right now is, will he sign it? And here's where it gets intriguing for Celtics fans. Because while Giannis mentioned the Knicks as a team he'd consider, insiders have made it clear that his priority is staying in the East. That single detail changes everything. Boston, with its history, market, and championship pedigree, is one of the few organizations capable of matching both his competitive hunger and his global appeal. Imagine Giannis in green, running alongside Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Imagine the physicality, the defensive wall, the dominance in transition. It sounds impossible, yet this is how super teams begin. One seed of doubt, one uncertain superstar, one franchise ready to move when opportunity strikes. The Bucks are facing pressure they haven't known since before their title run. Damian Lillard's health concerns, the loss of key rotational depth, and 3 consecutive early playoff exits have left Giannis questioning not just the roster, but the vision. Can Milwaukee still build around him fast enough to catch up with the next wave of Eastern challengers like the Cavaliers, the Magic, or even the reborn Knicks? And what if Boston, quietly and patiently, is waiting for the perfect moment to strike? Because make no mistake, the Celtics have always played the long game. They've built a culture, not just a roster. A system that attracts stars without chasing them. A franchise that doesn't beg for greatness but prepares for it. The idea of Giannis in Boston might sound like fantasy today, but every seismic shift in NBA history started as a whisper. Just ask anyone who laughed at the idea of Kevin Durant joining Golden State. So here's the curiosity that keeps the East on edge. What if this isn't about New York at all? What if Giannis' mention of the Knicks was a distraction, a strategic move to test the waters, to see which teams are truly ready to win now? What if deep down the path that keeps him in the East runs through Boston? Because if that door even slightly opens, Boston will be the first to knock. The Celtics have the assets, the flexibility, and most importantly, the ambition to turn speculation into reality. And should that moment ever come, it won't just change the Celtics. It will change the entire balance of power in basketball. So stay alert, Celtics Nation. The game behind the game has only just begun. Hit that like button, subscribe, and click the hype button because if this story keeps unfolding the way it's going, the green and white might be standing at the edge of another historic twist.